They're framing it like he's just snatching 12 million people's health coverage away for no reason, when what's really happening here is Trump introduced a work requirement, saying that before you can receive health coverage free of charge from the government, you have to work at least 80 hours per month.
Here's what I need you to understand, Evan. Every single person alive deserves access to food, shelter, and healthcare. Those three things, those three basic needs. And if their society or their community cannot provide them access to those three things, food, shelter, and healthcare, then that society, that community is broken. I get what you're trying to say here. I understand the basic philosophical justification for your political worldview. You believe that work is important and that people should have to work to get things. You should not just be given something in exchange for nothing. You should have to work in order to get things. What you are saying when you say that a person doesn't deserve shelter unless they can prove that they're working hard enough is work or sleep on the street. What you're saying when you say that a person does not deserve food if they cannot provide evidence that they're working hard enough for it is work or starve. And what you're saying, quite literally, when you say that a person does not deserve health care unless they can provide evidence that they are working hard enough for it is work or die. And those three positions aren't just immoral, they are evil. And I shouldn't have to explain to you why they're evil. It should just be obvious why they're evil, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain it anyway. The first and most glaring thing is not every person is able to work, right? Not every human being is physically or psychologically capable of maintaining regular hourly employment to satisfy some random bureaucratic standard that says they are now worthy of basic human needs. It is categorically evil to look at people who were born with a condition that they cannot control or who had something traumatic happen to them that prevents them from being able to maintain regular employment and say, well, because of that, you no longer deserve shelter, food, or medicine. Then there are millions of people who are able to work, who want to work, but who are currently unemployed and are having a hard time finding new employment for one reason or another. In this country, even a household with a healthy middle-class income can experience extreme financial distress and hardship in just a few short months of unemployment. And this is because you can't choose when you get sick. You can't choose when the money runs out for groceries. You can't choose when you're unable to pay your monthly bills for rent or your mortgage anymore and the bank decides to foreclose on your home or your landlord decides to evict you. And if any or all of that happens to a person before they are able to find employment again, if they get sick, if they run out of food, if they get kicked out of their house before they're able to find employment again, there should be a social structure in place to take care of them during that period, to make sure that they are able to survive that period. But what you are saying is no, if that happens to them, they should simply starve and die on the street. And that is evil. And finally, there are millions of people who do have a job, who are gainfully employed, and who still rely on government programs like Medicaid and SNAP because either their employer does not provide health insurance or they don't make enough money at their job or jobs plural to provide for their entire household. They can't afford health care from the private market, so they have to buy government subsidized health care. They can't afford groceries to feed their entire family, so they rely on government food assistance to get by. Or they're like me, they're a freelancer. I work for myself and I do contract labor for different employers and I get paid sporadically throughout the year in lump sums, but I don't have pay stubs with an hourly breakdown. I don't have a time card that I can submit to prove that I'm working at least 80 hours a month. And sometimes I get my health insurance through my union, the Screen Actors Guild, but sometimes I don't qualify for that insurance and private insurance is out of my price range, so I need to go to Medicaid. Medicaid, even though I am gainfully employed. I am working. And what you're saying to people like me, people who are gainfully employed, who do work for a living, but who still require government assistance for some things, is tough shit. Get a better job or starve and die. And that is evil. But let's set all of that aside and just get back to my initial point. Human beings deserve the basic necessities of life because they are human beings, period. No person should ever have to justify why they deserve to live to you or anyone else. If you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to rationalize a worldview that tells you you have the authority to decide who lives and who dies, you are no longer operating under a moral framework. You are assuming a godlike power that you have no right to assume. You are operating like a serial killer, deciding who lives and who dies, and that is evil.